For you guys to know me a little bit better, I want to talk to you guys about my story and how I went from wanting to become a professional NBA basketball player to wanting to become a surgeon. Now, this all started in my freshman year of high school, which was 2019, and at that point in time, I really wanted to be a professional NBA player. Now, I was B-team bench for our ninth grade basketball team, but I still had that motivation to play basketball and to get into the big leagues. But COVID hit, and I still had that motivation of wanting to become a basketball player, and even during COVID, I was doing ball handling drills, and I was doing shooting drills. I actually had a basketball hoop in my backyard. The only downside though was it was in the backyard, so I had to dribble on grass, which kind of sucked, but at least I had a basketball hoop to play with. And I watched a lot of videos, and I honestly forgot these YouTubers, but it was like Drew Hanlon and like some other YouTube basketball creators, which I really watched all their videos, broke down all their tape, and I was really obsessed with becoming a professional NBA basketball player. And this was actually one of the goals I had in life. But then during COVID, my mom, who is a nurse, she was actually watching over patients who had the coronavirus. And coronavirus at that time, this was 2020, like April or May of 2020, it was a new virus. Like, nobody even knew what it was, how it even infects the body, and we didn't even have a vaccine at that time. So it was some scary times, and it was just isolation in pretty much the entire world, just quarantine in the entire world. So one day my mom came from work, and I asked her, what is the coronavirus? What is COVID-19? Why should I be afraid of it? How does it even affect the body? The first thing she did was she got her Anatomy Physiology textbook she used for nursing school, and she gave it to me, and she said, read the immune system. So obviously, I just read the immune system, and it was like reading a novel where I could just visualize all these processes happening in my body. I could visualize like natural killer cells attacking pathogens that are in me right now. I could visualize helper T cells, which, if I remember, they help accumulate like memory cells. They help memory cells develop antibodies, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a long time since I read immunology, and it was just things like that, where when I was reading that, I was just so soaked into medicine. It was as if I felt like a scientist, like learning about anatomy physiology for the first time ever, which it was the first time ever, but I was thinking of it as the first time ever in the world, where it was isolation, so it's easy to visualize this, but I was thinking that I just traveled back in time, but I had this textbook with me, and I was able to study it. I was thinking like it was the 1600s, but I had this textbook, and I was just ready, and honestly, I was ready to just start diagnosing patients and start doing like surgeries, because I was just so soaked into medicine. Now, at this time, I was still wanting to play basketball, but it was that anatomy physiology textbook and just anatomy physiology in general that was generating through my mind. And honestly, it also was Grey's Anatomy. And sometimes I don't say this, but I'm just going to say it straight out because I'm just going to be honest. Grey's Anatomy kind of influenced me to want to become a surgeon. And I know it's dramatized, and it's literally dramatized. It's just romance. And some people say it's not even medically accurate. And that's all true. But it was still the surgeon's life. And I just thought that Derek Shepherd was just a badass surgeon. And Mark Sloan and Derek Shepherd was like my best friend and me. So it was just such a really cool show to watch, and I gotta be honest, it did influence me to want to become a surgeon. So I was watching that just like everyone else in the world, just binge watching TV shows. And September of 2020, I went to a new school called Lake Belton High School in Temple, Texas, and it was a new high school. So we still had to wear our masks, stay 6 feet away, and it was a great experience to actually see people again. But during November, I had to do online school, so I wasn't able, because I had a little bit of food poisoning, and I thought that it was COVID, but thankfully it wasn't, but I still wanted to do online school. But before that, in October of 2020, I was in basketball period, and there was just this one scrimmage that I did have one layup to start the whole game, but that was pretty much it. And I had a couple turnovers. I wasn't making any of my 3-pointers, and it just happened again and again and again. And then I just asked myself, could I really picture myself becoming an NBA basketball player? And subtly, when I was growing my passion for medicine, I was losing my passion for basketball, and I was losing my love for the game. Because I was, and I gotta be honest, I was taking it too seriously. I was literally thinking that I have to be successful in this or else I'll be a failure. I had that mindset going into basketball, and that's actually a terrible mindset to have, because you need to understand that basketball is just a game, and you can't take it too seriously or else you're going to turn that play, something you love, into work, and it's just going to be stressful. You're going to deal with anxiety, and it's just not a good mix. So that's something I realized, and that's why I lost my passion for wanting to play basketball and going to the professional leagues, because I turned play into work and I took it too seriously. So when that happened, I just quit basketball because I couldn't picture myself doing it for the rest of my life, and honestly, I did take it too seriously. So I switched straight to medicine, and that's where I really dove deep into the Anatomy Physiology book, because with online school, I had a lot of free time. I'm actually really glad I was able to do online school during my sophomore year, because if I wasn't able to do that, then I wouldn't be the person I'm now today, because that was my maturity phase. I think everyone has their own maturity phase. Maybe it's after college for you, during college, maybe it was high school for you, but that was my phase of maturity, and that was the point in time where I really changed my mindset and I changed who I wanted to become. So diving deep into those anatomy physiology textbooks, I actually made a bunch of notes. Let me actually try to find them real quick. It was these two books right here. And I mean, I guess you could call them books, but this is just the 5-star spiral book, and the first topic that I actually took notes on, because with the immune system, I was just reading it like a novel. So these were my first notes that I took, and as you can see, I pretty much copied everything from the textbook, because I really didn't know how to take notes. Nobody taught me how to take notes, so I just had to learn this on my own. And going from the skeletal system, I went all the way to cardiovascular. Talked about Krebs cycle, oxidative phosphorylation. That was a fun one. And going all the way to the immune system, where I actually took notes, I filled this textbook right here. So let me just close this thing. So I filled up this textbook I keep saying textbook, filled up this notebook right here. And I continued with part 2. But this time, I was geared with knowing how to take notes effectively. And I actually asked my dad to print these pictures out so I could have these as reference for anatomy. And that's pretty much what I did. So actually, let me try to find a good one over here. So it was something like, for example, let's just look at this one for the integumentary system. So I made notes over the integumentary system, and as you can see, they're a little bit more clear. So you have like bullet points, you have a image looking at what this is actually referring to, just the anatomy side of the book. And I filled this one as well, and it was just such a delight to actually take notes and get an understanding of anatomy and physiology. And this is actually what I still do every summer. I still open up this textbook and I still take notes, because it's just something that I find enjoying. I really enjoy learning and I really enjoy studying. And even when I came back from online school, so this was junior year, a lot of people thought that it was crazy that I enjoyed studying, but it was just learning anatomy physiology that there's nothing compared to it. So I continued on with that, and actually spring break of 2021, my friend Eric pulled me over, and he said that he wanted to start this tutoring company called Medporium, and it was just free medical tutoring. It was sort of, we thought of it as the Khan Academy for medicine. So hopped onto there, and now we're just co-founders of Medporium, and it's a nonprofit organization. But when we started, I was just creating anatomy physiology videos, and the first video I created was about the urinary system. And if you actually watch that video, and I'll actually link it down below, it was pretty terrible. I'm not gonna lie. I used my dad's AirPods as my microphone, and I was going through slides. And the funny thing was, I was using my cursor and going through every word possible. So it wasn't the greatest video, and even the quality was pretty terrible. But I learned so many valuable lessons from just that one video. And fast forward to my recent videos, I've learned how to actually teach, how to actually tutor, how to curate my words, how to actually talk. And this is why I'm able to create YouTube videos like these now, because I've developed my, I guess you could say, content creation skills for the past 3 years, where even during the summer of 2021, I was grinding those Medporium videos, and I actually developed a system of how to script, how to film, how to edit, and posting it and trying to market that. And it was just such a delight making those videos. And I still make those videos today, which it's ability for me to learn, because that's Feynman's technique, where when you teach something, you learn it better. And also, I get to help students all around the world understand these complex topics. And it's just something fun that I enjoyed. And during my junior year, I actually started taking AP classes, because in my freshman and sophomore year, I didn't take AP classes at all. Maybe my freshman year, I took human geography, but other than that, I didn't take any AP classes. So I took that leap of faith, and I said, why don't I take AP biology, AP physics, and AP literature, AP language. So I took those 3 AP classes, and with my basically practice in isolation of just studying, building my study skills using Anki for the first time ever, building Feynman's technique, I actually got a 5 on my AP biology exam. I got a 3 on my AP physics exam, so didn't do too great there, but still passed, which I'm happy. I didn't take the AP language exam, but I still finished that class with an A, and that really built my confidence towards taking those AP classes. And even my senior year, I took AP chemistry, and I also took AP chemistry, AP language, AP gov, AP macro, and all of those classes prepared me for those classes. So it just built my confidence, while also I focused on Medporium, building that as well. And some of the biggest accomplishments that we've had is even high school, I started selling Medporium shirts during our sort of school expos, which got you out of your finals. And the first time I sold them, I actually made those shirts myself, because I didn't even know the shirt business. I didn't know that you have to order them 2 weeks prior. So that was a lesson that I learned from there, and sold out the first time, did it again, sold out the second time, and did it a final time, and sold it for the third time. Sold out pretty much all of those times. And I think I made roughly, in total, this is not profit, but in total, I think I made $2,000 or $3,000 from that, which it was a great experience, and I learned so many valuable lessons. And one of the key things that I've learned through my journey and what's matured me is being able to take risks, and being able to actually forget my insecurities of having a bad voice or not having the right equipment. I didn't have any of those excuses, and I just jumped right into it. That's how I created the first Medporium video on anatomy physiology. That's how I actually started selling shirts. I've been able to switch from this idea of trying to become an NBA basketball player straight to starting my businesses and being so soaked into medicine. And I think the biggest thing that I contribute that to is being in isolation. And I know sometimes being in isolation can actually be scary. And what I mean by isolation is still being with your family, obviously. And as a high school student, you're still living with your parents. So when I'm talking about isolation, I'm not saying that you leave your parents and leave your entire family. But when I say isolation, is that when you're in school, you basically focus on your studies. And when you leave school, you focus on maybe your businesses or your studies again. And you are going to be isolated, because not a lot of high schoolers will think like that. Not even a lot of college students will think like that, where they won't think about their future, and they'll think about just the present. And if you're someone different, then you're going to actually enjoy being in isolation, because you'll learn more about yourself. You'll develop your skills faster than ever. And most importantly, you will get to your future self as fast as possible. So you're basically fulfilling your potential, focusing on the future, and just these 4 years, or just these past 3 years, for me personally, have transformed my skills, my communication skills, my sales skills, my ability to create videos, so many skills, and even my study skills, which is such an important thing for being a pre-med, then medical student in the future, and even resident. Those are skills that I have built, and I built that foundation. So now I can just tackle any challenge that I want to with confidence. So that's pretty much my story, how I went from wanting to become a NBA basketball player to now wanting to become a surgeon. And that's pretty much it. Hopefully you guys learned something. And as always, a Pomodoro day will make you a doctor someday. I'll see you guys in the next one.